Welcome to the FanDuel wide receiver analysis for the divisional round. I'm Jason Gilbert, J-Gilbo11. With me is Justin Elick at Big Illy 42. Looking at wideouts here, and with the Jordy Nelson news, likely being out, I can't imagine a situation where he plays. We get some value with these Packers wideouts.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Davante Adams has been really good, even with Jordy Nelson, and he's got 4 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. Not usually a huge upside guy as far as yardage goes, but, he had over 100 yards last week. This is a guy that's in, a pretty good spot still. Dallas has been middle of the road against the pass, but, we keep talking about it. It doesn't matter who's catching the ball. If Aaron Rodgers is throwing the ball, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, you saw, obviously, that Hail Mary, he got to Randall Cobb. I mean, the guy literally cannot be stopped. It's absolutely unbelievable how good he is right now. And Davante Adams got 12 targets last week, had a big game. I mean, he's as chalky as it gets, I think, for the slate.
Yeah, I mean, Rodgers 12 touchdowns over his last 3 games. And when you have Adams and Cobb out there ready to just be targeted and used at will against a mediocre defense, I mean, I can't see them not being the chalk this week.
Yeah, and I mean, Rodgers hasn't thrown a pick in what, 5 weeks, 6 weeks?
Ever. I don't think he's ever thrown one in his life.
No, not this year. He hasn't thrown one at least since last year. So, I mean, he won't throw one this week either.
Well, now he is.
if he doesn't go Joe Flacco style and roll through these playoffs without an interception, then I don't want to live this life anymore. He should offer like a crazy high amount, like a bounty on anybody that gets an interception off them. But it doesn't count if it hits Randall Cobb square in the hands and pops straight up. That doesn't count. I have to pick on Cobb.
Yeah, it's got to be straight up, like in the corner's hands at will first.
You got to earn it. It can't be like that Jabril Peppers BS that he got against Ohio State that he was running his mouth about. Because, I mean, it just hit him in the hand.
Oh, jeez. Here we go. You just find a way to just squeeze something that's not even related.
That was totally related. That was exactly the same type of interception.
Set it up from the beginning. It's over. It's over.
I mean, wait, no one will miss that guy. He's going to go to the Browns and still not be that good.
Oh, man. Talk about punishment. Work your whole life and go to the Browns. Speaking of Brown, not Browns, Brown, Antonio Brown, 8,800. Not a big discount here in terms of him and Julio Jones, just 500 this week on FanDuel.
Yeah, I mean, it's a spot where, he's somehow he creeped. I don't understand the pricing. I'm sure there's some rhyme or reason to it. Obviously, it works, but his price was going up when he wasn't playing particularly well. Then last week, didn't need to do much. It was 5 for 124 and 2 touchdowns, I think, in a game that just wasn't fair. But they're going to need him this week, and it's a much tougher matchup, obviously. But if Roethlisberger can get past his home road splits, then it'll be great. But the good thing about Antonio Brown here is you saw the last couple of times Roethlisberger did struggle on the road, and the Steelers offense didn't do much until late. Then what happens in the fourth quarter is he just force feeds Brown and Bell constantly, and that's all he does is he says, these are the guys I can rely on. So, I mean, his floor is tremendous. His upside's big in this one, and like we said in the other podcast, I'm really not believing in this low total. I think this game's going to be, I won't say shootout necessarily. It's not going to be both teams in the 30s, but I think they get to 50 points.
Yeah, I mean, I could see a 27-24, 27-23 type game just because, there are some offensive players here that are obviously big plays. And both these defenses, as you said, I mean, Chiefs are more fantasy opportunistic defense more, though, than just actually stopping opposing teams.
Yeah, it's the value with these guys is so concentrated, too. Like, it's so simple, and especially on a 4-game slate. I mean, you can't play all the best players, but all the best players are playing. So it's take your pick.
Yeah, definitely. We move on basically to another elite wide receiver, Julio Jones, 8,300. A surprisingly good matchup, I think, that people may or may not write off, but I'm all in on Jones this week for a monster week.
Are you saying he's basically an elite player, or are you saying he's basically not an elite player?
I'm not going to say he's not an elite player.
But you're not going to say that he is?
No, he is. I'm just messing with you.
Okay. Wow. I thought I was missing some underlying nonsense here when you said basically like he was.
No, I was just throwing in the confusing and trying to use the elite in 3 or 4
Trying
times.
to see if I'm paying attention.
Yeah,
I got you. Okay, because I was ready for that battle. I was going to be guns out. But yeah, I mean, it's funny because Julio Jones. I mean, when he's healthy, and I know it's easy to say when he's healthy, when anyone's healthy, but he really hasn't been healthy for much of the year. But when he was, I mean, he is possibly the most dominant wide receiver. And you got Max Kellerman saying stupid stuff about Odell Beckham is the most dominant. That's ignorant because, I mean, Julio Jones' size, speed, strength, I mean, it's matched by nobody. You know, I think Antonio Brown is the most talented receiver in the league as far as, you know, doing a lot with whatever God gave him because God didn't make him big or great. But, I mean, think about it. Julio Jones is enormous, and he has all the same skills as an Antonio Brown. I mean, we saw that 300-yard game. He probably won't ever do that again. But, I mean, I do think he just has an enormous game here. And the scary thing is for the Seahawks that he doesn't have to have a big game for the Falcons to win this one. But I really do think that he does. You know, this team came really close a couple of years ago to go in the Super Bowl. And I want so badly to see the Falcons and the Packers in the NFC Championship game. I think it'll happen. I think that Aaron Rodgers will find a way. But, man, how fun would that be, though? The best 2 quarterbacks in the league this year. Sorry, Tom Brady. And that would just be awesome. So I think Julio Jones, like we said in the other podcast, I think he's going to be the highest scoring receiver this week.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly has that upside, and obviously torched them earlier this year. In that same game, Doug Baldwin, 7,500, so a little bit of price difference coming up from last week. You know, looking at him, and obviously he's kind of suffered with the home and road splits with Seattle, which is, I think, probably why you have him as just a GPP guy, but a good correlation play here.
Yeah, I mean, especially as inconsistent as the passing game has been, or the running game has been, excuse me, is, you know, Baldwin, like, perfect example, like you said here, 11 for 104 and a touchdown at home. Then before that, literally the best matchup on the planet at San Francisco, 2 for 44. Then 13 for 171 and a touchdown against Arizona at home. But then, you know, the last couple times he played on the road after that, 6 for 46 against Green Bay, 734 against Tampa Bay. Did have 3 touchdowns against New England, but only 59 yards. So, I mean, it's yeah, only. But I mean, it's more so like the offensive line. You know, I feel like Wilson has no time to throw the ball, and if this team cannot run the ball, then their offense just falls flat on its face because they don't have any, I guess, playmakers as far as wide receivers that can dominate a game. I mean, I know Doug Baldwin's a very good receiver. Jimmy Graham's a very good tight end. But, you know, they don't have an Antonio Brown. They don't have a Julio Jones. They can just take over the game. They don't have a running back that can take over the game. So if a team can stop this running attack, then it's really tough for them to make plays down the field. So hopefully for their sake, the offensive line steps up and plays well, gives Wilson time to throw the ball, because if he doesn't have time to throw the ball in this one, Atlanta could just run over him. And I know that sounds crazy to say because everyone thinks the Seahawks are an elite team, but I really don't.
Yeah, I could see that one. I mean, that's basically going to be the X factor is how that line holds up for Seattle to really get anything moving. In terms of value wideouts this week, we talked about Randall Cobb a little bit, but obviously a great price tag on him. You know, hasn't really been a factor this year outside of really one game. And then obviously last week, but in a good spot here.
Yeah, and I mean, his ownership will be higher than it probably should be with Nelson, you know, I guess not officially out, but he's going to be out, you know, but it's been a situation where, you know, if all 3 of these guys were healthy and Cobb had, you know, the season he has most years, we'd be talking about him over Davante Adams more often than not, you know, because Adams kind of emerged because the running game was awful and Aaron Rodgers needed to have another guy step up. And, you know, Adams is really coming to his own. He's become a really good receiver, but, you know, Cobb's still that reliable guy. If you need a third down catch, he's got the Jordy Nelson type hands for that. He's great in the red zone, but, you know, he's a slot receiver. He's not a big guy. So it'll be interesting to find the ways that Rodgers gets him involved because, you know, we didn't even know if he was 100% healthy last week, and maybe he's still not this week. So we've seen before them get creative. I'm interested to see what happens here because I don't expect they're going to run the ball more.
No, I don't either. And obviously when you're looking at what Rodgers is doing, 300 plus yards, 4 touchdowns, you have your pick of the litter in terms of wide receiver production this week.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not a bad spot at all.
Now, another slot guy in that game, Cole Beasley, 6,100, should be relied on quite a bit here. Obviously, Dak Prescott, you know, rookie coming into the postseason, usually you kind of tend to see them lean on guys like tight ends and guys like Cole Beasley, who are just reliable options.
Yeah, and I mean, this is not a guy with a lot of upside here. He's one of those strange guys that I feel like I like more in GPPs than in cash games, even though the fact that he just doesn't have that much upside. People might look and see that he had a couple touchdowns against this same Green Bay team, and that's really not why I'm looking at him. I'm looking at him because I think the Packers are going to score a lot of points, and they're going to need to be throwing the ball. And obviously, Zeke Elliott, it doesn't matter game flow. You expect he's able to pick up yards on the ground regardless. Might even be beneficial to him for them to be down, for him to run, because they're going to be looking for the pass. But, Cole Beasley is a guy that he's got great hands. He's not a guy that's going to make a big play down the field, but, he's elusive. He can get open, make those big plays. And, you're playing him here, hoping, I guess, that you find yourself into a touchdown, because he's not going to post a big yardage game. I mean, I don't think he has a 100-yard game all season. No, he doesn't. I mean, upper 70s has been the highest he's been. So really, I'm looking at him here, hoping he scores a touchdown, because in the red zone, you're not hoping to stop Cole Beasley coming underneath. You're looking to stop Des Bryant, and you're looking to stack the box. So I think Green Bay, kind of like they were in the first game, looking away from everyone else, and Cole Beasley found the end zone.
Yeah, definitely a good call there. And especially, I'm not really afraid to target those secondary wide receivers there for Dallas, because I think there will be enough to kind of go around.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So if you want to check out Justin's wide receiver article, you can head on over to dailyfantasycafe.com and be sure to check out the rest of our divisional round content.